Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 Emergency Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, of course, we have the Cody, the Codester, El
El
Gato.
Gato.
Cody, what's going on, my man?
Not much, just like everybody else. I was scrolling Twitter, refreshing Twitter, waiting for some news. And then it came from Jim. Jim was the one that texted us and was like, hey, it's done. War is over. Get on the pod.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. It came from Jim because I saw it and my first move was getting this ready. Yeah. Let's put it this way. I don't like hearing and seeing anyone losing their job, right? I don't want to celebrate this in that sense, but I think the writing's been on the wall. I think you and I, all of us here at North Carolina, except for Neil, which, by the way, you might get a show from Neil and Doug later on this. So stay tuned on that. But I think we all thought it was going to happen this offseason, and it didn't happen. Now the Pirates were coming out the gate just looking bad, looking pathetic. The on-field performance, the talent, like everything, just bad baseball. They're 12-26 right now, coming out of St. Louis into home. I think the writing was on the wall. It was going to happen today, and it did. So Derek Shelton has been relieved of his duties. He is no longer the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. What are our initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are same as what you said. Like, I don't like seeing people get fired. But something needed to change. And this was the obvious thing to do. I mean, I hate seeing a guy lose his job because Shelty is a good guy. From our time in Bradenton, like passing by him, he's always been kind to us. He's never stopped and talked to us, but he was like, hey, how's it going? He wasn't a guy that scoffed at you. He was like, I'm better than you. He's a baseball guy. And I think he was just given an impossible task here. And like you said, the time was coming. I think I said it yesterday on the pod or on the post game with Ryan. I expected this move to happen in the offseason. So like the fact that it happened now, it's like 8 months too late, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, initial thoughts are you hate to see a guy lose his job, but if for the betterment of the logo, for the betterment of the organization, a change needed to be made.
Yeah, I agree. I like for all the reasons that Neil, I'm not going to say, backs up Shelton. Like I understand his viewpoint on some stuff, and I understand the grand scheme of things, like how people are saying in the comments, this isn't going to fix anything. Like I don't think he's been dealt a great hand. I think there's a lot of the problems are at hand are on Bob Nutting first off, Ben Cherington second off, right? He's third down in command, says, well, this is what you allow me to work with. Here's what I have to do. But I think we've all seen that there's certainly things that you can question him on his decision-making and usage and just go down the list, right? I mean, just because you aren't given a good hand, it's because you're not set up for success, doesn't mean you need to squander whatever you have and just pass off blame on the other person. Like you still have your job. You still have things you have to do the best of your abilities. You might not be given the best of abilities to work with, but you got to make the best of what you have. And I think he's failed there. And again, like the accountability part, like you're 12-26, big picture, something has to happen. Now, I don't think this is going to resolve anything. I don't think it stops here. Again, like I would be okay if they moved on from Ben Cherington as well at this point in time. I don't think that's going to happen, at least yet. But I mean, Derek Shelton, I know it's been going through a rebuild, but again, he leaves with a 306, 440 record. The Pirates this year are 12-26, Cody. And on top of that, something else, and again, I got to give credit to Doug because he said this on the post-game show. Right now, the Pirates as a franchise are 10,851 and 10,845. They're on the verge of being a losing franchise.
You're 6 games away from being a 500 franchise in your history, in your storied history.
Right. Like there's a lot of stuff that's happening. I mean, they had a horrendous April with all kinds of situations. We don't go down the list of, but we all know it, right? The 12-26, this is the year that you're supposed to be talking about playoffs, getting the playoffs. It's time to win. Well, 12-26 certainly is in time of winning.
No, it's It's baffling that, like, we had 20 years of losing, and it didn't take until this point to be that close to being a losing franchise. This franchise overall has still been seen as a winning franchise when you look at the grand scheme, right? With that record. And it's gotten so close that I think maybe that was the tipping point, was like, we can't lose anymore or else we're seen as an overall losing franchise. The franchise that gave you Roberto Clemente, the franchise that gave you Honus Wagner. I don't know why I couldn't think of Honus Wagner's name. The franchise that gave you Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, all these greats. And they had championships, right? To be that close to being considered a loser over your entirety of a franchise. Yeah, I think it was time for a change to happen, because you can't let that happen with how historic and legendary this franchise is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this to that.
Maybe
I
that's
think it just sucks. Like the Pittsburgh Pirates are going down that path. Very prideful franchise, as you mentioned, right? And this is what the past 3 years or whatever has led them to. And I don't think they're firing Derek Shelton simply so they don't have a losing franchise. But again, like this is wraps up 2026 in a nutshell. Like, or 2025, sorry. The 26 is in my head because that's how many losses they have.
That's
on May.
And that's the only season we have to look forward to now.
Well, it's always next season, and they'll show me again.
That's
and again,
the hat I should have worn.
Also, shout out to Pittsburgh Clothing Company.
Give me 2 seconds.
But again, like that's just this epitomizes everything. I mean, this was the season you were supposed to go. You have Paul Skeens, his second year. This offseason, like, what's going on? We don't understand it. We were all skeptical. There it is. Shout out Pittsburgh Clothing Company and Cody right there.
I don't know how I didn't think of wearing this in the first place.
but seriously, like it's bad. It's really bad. And something has to give. Something has to change. We all felt Derek Shelton's going to be the scapegoat of the larger problem. And it happened today. He is fired. And again, I think it's the right call. You know, it certainly is. Now, it's not going to fix the problem, but it's the right call. This team, I've been saying time and time again, I just feel it needs a new voice. I think Derek's a great guy. I think he's a good baseball mind, and he might have a better opportunity, a better situation at another point in time. But right now, the way this team has been playing, performing 6 years deep into this, and you're still having the same mistakes, the same issues. We talk about accountability, and I just feel like that's something this team has not had. And to me, it shows. And I could be wrong. Right. Show me the receipts then, but like it always goes back to me, Rodolfo Castro. Like this is a sticking point for me from this whole entire thing, right? Because we keep talking about the Cruz mistakes and I mean, just good on this. IKF makes mistakes. Brian Reynolds makes mistakes. Everyone, like Kutch doesn't run outs. That ground the other day. Like everyone's making mistakes, and you never see anyone bench. You never see anything happening. And like going back to Rodolfo, the cell phone situation had so much hate. This guy should be DFA'd. This is ridiculous. It was so far one end, and it's like, guys, calm down. It's not that bad. We're not DFAing him. But what stood out to me the most was the very next day, he was in the lineup. And to me, that like defines everything that I have issues with Derek Shelton. He was in the lineup. How does that happen and you don't make a statement? You don't show anything. There's no punishment. There's no accountability. Right. There's just, well, maybe don't do that next time. Go play.
It was almost as if they were like, well, he's going to get suspended. We should play him before he gets suspended. And it's like, no, that's not how you should operate.
And again, like that's just where it comes down to me. You keep seeing the same mistakes. We're 6 years into it. Well, maybe there's a reason. Maybe no one's fearful if they, make a mistake or play better, or just it is what it is, whatever. That's not a winning culture.
Right. And we talked about this the other night. I brought it up yesterday on the post game, but it's almost as if Derek Shelton is living in his fears of like, well, if I do bench IKF or O'Neal Cruz or whoever makes a mistake, then I got to play someone who's even worse. And it's like, well, that's kind of the point, right? You want your best players to play at their best. And if they don't, you say, hey, you're expendable. I will put someone out there who is lesser than you, and I will rely on that person because I know they'll give me their best. And he never did that, it seemed.
And you know what's great about managing through a rebuild? Nobody cares.
Right.
That's the time to do it. That's the time to do it. You're not worried about having 65 wins instead of 62 wins. That's the time to do it. So that way, when you're here and it's time to go, that has been instilled. That
Right.
is there. These guys are now about winning. You don't have to worry about it. Well, now if I bench O'Neal Cruz, who's going to play center field because it's 2025, 6 years deep in it, and now it's time to win.
And we're expected to win. Yeah. Like, I can't do this when we're expected to win. Well, then maybe you should have done it the last 5 years when you weren't expected to win.
Right. Right. So again, like it just simply comes down to it that this clubhouse to me just needs a completely new voice, new direction. I don't think anyone else here, like again, that's the argument. If this wasn't Derek Shelton, would they be 13-25? You know, like
Right.
and I get that argument, and I agree with you on a lot of this stuff. Like not having Derek Shelton doesn't mean this team would be a winning team right now. Most of this issues is on Ben Sherrington and Bob Nutting, right? It's not as if he's going to make magic and make this team a winning culture, or I'm not a culture, a winning team. But there's a lot that he could do to help. And if Ben does do his job, and that's the thing, that's what we're alluding to. If Ben does do his job, or another GM comes in and does his job, then Derek has no excuses. Is this still the right guy for that moment? And all these other things to me say no. And that's again, like while we're here, and I'm okay with this. But yeah, so again, he's gone. The season's done. Like it's toast. I think we all can agree to that. It's not as if, I mean, if this was maybe done 2 weeks ago, maybe there's like a, hey, can we salvage something? Can this team go on like that Cardinals or Phillies run and just start sputtering off wins now? I think even if they do, they're too far deep that they don't have the talent to persevere to really do that. They could and maybe get themselves to a 500, not a 500 team, a 76 win team like they did last year, maybe if they play out of their minds, you know. But at any rate, he is gone. So I guess now it's what's next.
Well, what's next is Don Kelly, and from reading the release that they put out and what Jim told us, there was no interim like connected to his name and what his position. So it seems like Don Kelly's the guy. Like there is no interim status. He is the guy. He is the manager. He is the one leading these 26 men into battle every day for the foreseeable future. I'll be honest. I don't know much about Don Kelly. I know he played for the Tigers. I know he was a Yankee killer. Like that's about it. So
Neil's
we'll
brother-in-law.
see what happens. Oh yeah, that's right. He is Neil Walker's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's all I know about him. But we'll see, right? Like maybe he brings a spark to this club. Maybe he's the guy that brings accountability. But we're not going to see that until tomorrow. We'll see what he does.
Yep. Hey, he's got a lot of season left to prove something. I mean, I haven't seen that it's coming in the chat right now, so I'm kind of going based off that. Did the Pirates announce that, or
so the Pirates just in their release? I skimmed over it before we started.
Okay.
They did not attach interim to his status. It was that he would be
the manager. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I don't know how long that's to last for, but at this point in time, he is the new manager. I'm sure there's something where if they wanted to go another direction, they can this offseason. But yes, like what I'm alluding to is he's going to have quite a tenure for the rest of the season to prove himself, to ensure that he does carry over and keep his job for 2026, I guess. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't know enough of him to say like, oh yeah, that's the guy. That's who I want. I don't know, but we're going to find out a little bit. We're going to see how this team responds for one, the firing and the hiring. And that's another thing too. Like that's one of the things oftentimes you kind of see, and I think this is relatable regardless if you're seeing the success or not. You see a manager go, I mean, the players have to feel that. And I'm sure they will. Because ultimately, again, like if a manager gets fired, it's kind of the player's fault. You didn't play well enough. You got him fired. Again, is that his fault to a degree? Yeah. Yeah. But also, again, like the players, like they're going to feel that, like, hey, look what we did.
We got a guy fired.
Didn't play well enough. We costed him his job. Maybe again, this is that spark. That's something that, like, hey, it's serious now. It's about business now, that you guys need to step up, and maybe they will respond and step up for Don Kelly. We'll find out, and we'll find out what he does in game managing, and we can have all the complaints in the world now for the rest of the season about how Don Kelly can't manage situations, right? Because every manager gets that, and I get that, and most managers get more hate than they deserve. But we'll find out with Don Kelly what happens next. Again, like I'm not excited, but I'm pleased that they did this move, because I think a lot of us were also worried that this wasn't going to happen, or how much longer would they continue with this.
It's really just a matter of you're happy that something happened, because it really felt like for a while there they were complacent with what was happening. Like I said, the fact that they didn't let go of Shelton last year or at the end of the season, it was like, we're really doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
We're really like, we think this is the guy that historically would leave guys in too long. Like the thing that I always go back to, I think it was maybe the 21 season, maybe the 22 season. J2 Brewbaker was pitching against the Brewers, and he was just getting shellacked. And Shelton was like, nope, you're going to go back out for the 6th. You're going to go back out for the 7th, whatever it was. And I'm like, this guy he needs the day. Like, you need to get him out of there. And Shelton was like, no, I'm going to play you until I don't want you to play anymore. And it's like, yeah, maybe you want to save it, like bullpen innings. Like, you don't want to put your relievers out there too soon. But this was a game where, if I remember correct, JT Brewbaker just was getting smacked. And it's like the guy just needed saved, and you didn't save him. You just wanted him to dig himself out of the hole, and it just simply was not happening.
Yeah.
And like he did that a lot in the early days of his tenure. And it was frustrating. And granted, like we said, like at the beginning of the tenure, you weren't expected to win, right? But we didn't want you to like make these guys feel like they couldn't play baseball. Like who's the guy that we always bring up, the reliever that
Cam
threw
View.
Cam View. Like he didn't play baseball after that release.
I think he had like 1 or 2 more appearances. Yeah. That was
and then he was done. Like, you ruined that guy's career almost. Like, it could be traced back to you putting him in and letting him throw, what was it, over 50, 60 pitches in an inning?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. He wasn't good, but in the same sense, that was just,
it was egregious.
And he acknowledged it too. Like, next day he said he felt bad. So I guess there's that, right?
But maybe don't do it.
Right. But again, like going back to the early stages, we were battling and arguing so much because it felt so many fans were talking about this team's tanking on purpose. And it's like, guys, listen, like between the lines, tanking doesn't happen. In the front offices, they might want to tank, right? They might not put good players out there because the idea is to lose and whatever, but they're not tanking between the lines. And again, decisions, quality of play, stuff like that just was so bad that it almost looked as if the intent was to tank on the field.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve, learning process, whatever. Still, like maybe he'll develop. There were some signs back then that like maybe Derek Shelton's not the guy. But again, you'll learn. He's a new manager. He's gotten better. I think he's gotten better. Like the bullpen usage has gotten better, right? Some things gotten better. But all in all, like I don't think it's been to that level where it's like, listen, even with all his mistakes, he's safe. The rest got to go. Again, the culture-wise to me is the biggest one. I say time and time again that most managers are dumb. Now they're not. Like they're absolutely smarter than all of us. But when it comes to the perception, most managers are dumb. They're always questioning on their decisions. And I always go back to the Indians time, the Guardians and Cubs series. Terry Francona outmanaged the hell in that series. X's and O's was great. But it was the guy who said, just try not to suck, that persevered and his team won.
Right.
You know, and that's coming down to, like, to me, I almost feel the X's and O's, yeah, you still want them to be good, right? Like good enough. But I almost feel as if keeping the clubhouse together, keeping the vibes, making sure everyone's ready, all that stuff is more important than like that decision. Because ultimately, it does come down to the players. The players have to produce. Right. I've always liked some of that to Derek Shelton, but I always felt it's too much of that. Again, perspective, my point of view, I could be wrong, whatever, but my perception has always been he wants to be too close, wants to be too friendly, wants to be too much of that manager, that there isn't that respect. If you kind of understand where I'm coming from, again, it comes down to the accountability part. No one's fearful of it. He's our friend. He's not the leader.
Like he wasn't able to toe the line of a player manager or a player's manager, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
He just became too much of like one of the guys. It seemed like they didn't respect his decisions, you know.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to say like respect his decisions. It's just again like the players love him. I absolutely get that vibe. Like the players really like him, but again, it's
but they knew there was no.
It's
they knew there was
going to be held accountable. You are going to be in the dog house or whatever, and I will bench you. I will right in the middle of a game. I will do that. You've never seen him do that. You've never seen him. Hank on Twitter brings it up. Doug's brought it up. Other people. I mean, Kutch has gotten benched from hurdle in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
There's no reason that anyone on this team is above that.
Right. Yeah, no player should be above being benched if you're the manager.
Right.
And it seemed like he just didn't want to ruffle feathers that way. It was almost like he was too cognizant of the situation almost, where he was like, listen, they all stink. So what's it going to do if I bench him? You know, it seemed like that was the case. But like you said, like you're about to say, it creates a culture of winning, creates a culture of accountability, creates a culture of we need to do our job in order to succeed. And he just never really did that.
I agree. So I think that's pretty much all we have to say at this point in time. Anything else that you wanted to add in here on Cody?
I haven't really gotten to talk about it, but whenever he put Holderman in LA, I was at work when that happened and I went ballistic. I could not believe a guy who just came off of a rehab stint. You didn't even let him get acclimated to the game yet. You were like, hey, we're in a tie game against the defending world champs. Go in there and stop Teoscar Hernandez, one of the best hitters on that team. And he's like in the middle of the order too, but that's how good the Dodgers are. And he like that decision in and of itself should have gotten him fired, in my opinion, because the guy just came off rehab, hasn't gotten acclimated to the MLB roster. And then you had your all-star closer have to earn his spot back. Granted, they weren't sent down for the same reasons. Holderman was hurt. Bednar was sent down because of his play. But they both were in the same spot whenever they got sent down. They both were playing horribly. So why is it that your two-time all-star closer needs to earn his spot back, but the guy who had an immaculate inning, 1 or 2 years ago, can go right back out there and be the setup man? Makes no sense.
You know what I love about this?
I was livid.
This happened how long ago? This has been sitting with you, and now you're like, this is my last opportunity I get to talk about this. Because
it is the last opportunity.
Gone. I can't vent about this. It's not relevant. Like, I got to get this in, Donardo.
Like, it sucks because when that happened, I was in the middle of moving to my new apartment, and I was like, I can't even get on a post game and just bring it up one day. Like, I had to sit on this for what, a week and a half now.
That's funny.
And like, it was so egregious. And then we had an argument with Neil in our group chat.
Shocking, right?
Where's
Paul at, by the way?
Yeah, where's Paul? Where's our guy Paul?
This is your World Series,
we should be celebrating. But anyway, we had an argument, and he was like, "Yeah, it's Holderman's fault that Joey Wentz gave up another home run." And I'm like, "You're missing the point here. The point is Holderman should have never been the guy to go in the eighth.
Right.
The point is you had a whole bullpen full of guys that could have went in there, and you chose to put the wounded duck in. And I feel bad for Holderman. Like, sure, he hasn't played up to snuff. He hasn't been great. But he was put in a situation where he wasn't going to win. like he needed time to reacclimate to MLB baseball because he was pitching rehab stints in AAA, I believe, maybe AA. I don't remember.
It was AAA. He had 2,
right,
which also didn't go short sample, but
right. He did like 1 or 2,
in AAA on the rehab as David Bednar was when he was optioned.
Like the point is you had a whole bullpen full of guys he could have went to there, and then we find out after the game for some reason Dennis Santana was unavailable because he threw 11 pitches the night before. David Bednar's gone out there 3 days in a row after throwing 11, 15 pitches, whatever. How come Dennis Santana couldn't go out there? Maybe there's something more to it that we don't know of. But if it's a fact of, he wasn't like rested enough, maybe we got to look into our medical staff and our training staff and be like, hey, why can't we get these guys ready to go after throwing 10 pitches the night before? It was just baffling to me that was the decision. Like, I can't keep going or else I'm going to say profanities.
All right. Well, then let's end there. But again, you're kind of you're wrapping up the situation.
Right.
He wasn't given good players. Cody Holderman has not been good for almost a full calendar year. Almost. I guess probably about 10 months now.
I'm sorry.
But
Bucko Mike's in here saying that it was a vet day off. It was a vet day off for Dennis Santana. Guess what? You're playing the world champs. You don't get a Veterans Day off against the world champs when you have a chance to take 2 games on them. I'm sorry.
Deep breath, Cody. All right. We good?
Yeah. I'm just getting it all out. Last chance I got.
As we said, the Pirates are 12-26. Derek Shelton has been relieved of manager duties. They will play tomorrow against the Braves, who also are struggling this year. I mean, they're not doing what they should be doing, but that's a team who you think can rebound and come back from. So they'll be doing it with a brand new manager, Don Kelly. We will be live tonight, though, NS9 Live. So I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. So, folks, we'll see you again tonight. Sorry, no sandwiches, even though Derek Shelton has been fired. We're not going to do that.
We should have done it anyway.
The Pirates need to earn it and win a game. We'll give sandwiches again at some point in time. But no, we'll see you again. We appreciate you. We love you. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Join the show. We'll see you tonight. And then tomorrow for our very first NS9 post-game show powered by Permani Brothers with Don Kelly. The first time without Derek Shelton. So we'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Deuces.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.